What we need is so limited and so measured and so obvious that it almost seems that we've gone through the desert without a drink of water here, and we're crawling toward the next oasis, and all we need is $27 million spread over 3 years, and we won't ask the state for anything else for 3 years. We cannot move this project off dead center until we complete project planning and NEPA studies. And we end up out of that process with what's called a record of decision. And that record of decision on the alignment and on the light rail mode and the other issues, that record of decision is our ticket to ride. It's our ticket to go to the federal government and say, we're ready for a federal investment in this project. We're ready to compete with the other regions and counties and cities around the country, all of which want light rail. And this is infinitely doable by the current administration. And I'll explain why. Every one of us, when we go to the gas pump and pump a gallon of gas, we pay 35.3 cents in tax to the state of Maryland for transportation. The fund that creates is called the Transportation Trust Fund. Any one of us can do a simple calculation. The average household in America buys 1,100 gallons of gas a year. You multiply that times the number of households in the commuter shed that Mel described, and you multiply that times 35 cents, and for Charles County, you get $113 million. And for the entire commuter shed, you get $377 million. We want $27 million back of the money our people sent to Annapolis to do transportation work. That's what we want. And the state piles up $16 billion worth of excuses that they can't give us $27 million. That's what this book is worth. $16 billion over the next 6 years. Now, what else is the state doing for Charles County? Well, the state is using toll money to build a new bridge to Virginia. Now, that doesn't count, because what I'm talking about right now is the money we put down on the table for the state when we pay for our gasoline. That's not toll money. The plan to build a new bridge across the Potomac River is paid for with toll money. That's a whole separate pot. So what is the state doing with our gas taxes? Well, they fixed this piddling little bridge across Allen's Fresh that took 5 years to build. We salute them for that. Thank you very much for doing that. But quite honestly now, and I don't mean to be snarky when I say this, but a bridge to Virginia that enables the real estate industry in King George, Westmoreland, and Stafford counties to develop northern Virginia, because they've got a 4-lane bridge to cross into Maryland and tap a larger market for what they want to sell there, doesn't do a thing for the 50,000 people who are struggling up this highway every day. In fact, I've said, and again, I don't mean to be unkind to anybody, but we're really at the stage of this thing where we got to start talking a little bit tougher. I think Mel made that point. We got to start talking a little tougher here. That bridge is the biggest victory for the state of Virginia since the Battle of Fredericksburg in 1862. Now, I'm just telling you how it is. I'm telling you how it is. That is going to put tens of thousands more cars on 301 and Route 5 than we already have to deal with. That's going to make our problem worse in Waldorf and in southern Prince George's County, not better. So these are the realities that we have to deal with, and somehow we've got to get the Secretary of Transportation to open his eyes and understand that we're dealing with a quality of life issue here. We're dealing with a health issue. We're putting people through the ringer every single day of the week because somebody won't spend $27 million of our money to fix a problem, or to make us eligible for the money to fix a problem. So there is frustration here over this. What else is the state doing with our gas taxes? Well, they're not going to do anything on the 2 interchanges we need in Waldorf, because that money is going somewhere else now. So we are really in a crisis here. Now, I've been in Southern Maryland for 40 years. I've been fighting for this county and this region for 4 decades. I've spent the best years of my life doing that, and I don't plan to stop now. But I'm going to make a prediction, and it's a dire prediction. If we do not get fixed rail transit down this corridor, connecting us to Washington, our entire economy in Southern Maryland is going to be choked off, and we are not going to bring any prospects here in the future, economically, that are worth having. Steny Hoyer said something to me 20 years ago, and I logged in my memory bank. Steny said to me, Gary, until you bring light rail to Waldorf, you're not going to have an economic development program. Prophetic words, true words. And we have to wake the state up on this. And as Mel said, it's a partnership. The heavy hitter at the plate is Prince George's County. And we got to stop grousing locally about what Prince George's isn't doing enough of to help us carry this ball across the finish line. I'm getting really testy about the comments I hear about Prince George's. Let me give you an example. Well, they sent a tour letter a year ago, and the tour letter didn't make this their top priority. Look, I have spent my entire life in government service, public service, intergovernmental relations. When has there ever been a county of almost 1 million people that would make one project for one region of the county their top priority? It is absolutely unreal to me to hear the kind of comments I hear about our best partner in this effort. Here's how it boils down. November 2nd, 2017, the Prince George's County Council presented a letter to the Maryland Department of Transportation on their priorities. They had 4 top transit priorities in Prince George's County. The Purple Line, fixing Metro, getting the bus, their locally operated transit service, reorganized. And their fourth priority was the Southern Maryland Transit Project. Now, I don't know how anybody else wants to slice that up, but to me, that's a victory. That's a victory. The first three items on that list have been done. The purple line's under construction. $500 million have been committed to Metro to fix Metro in the last session of the Maryland General Assembly. And the bus, the local operated transit service, is being reorganized. And yet, we go to public meetings like the one in Brandywine, where we're all there working our hearts out to bring this project across the finish line, and some wannabe, and I'm saying it like it is now, some political wannabe gets up to the microphone and he says, this isn't a priority of Prince George's County. And I'm frustrated over it, and it shows. But it has to be said, because we have a good partner. We have a loyal partner. Now, next Tuesday, our county commissioners and legislators are going to be sitting with Pete Ron and his team in that commissioner's meeting room. And there's an opportunity there to turn up the heat. On November 14th, there'll be a meeting in Upper Marlboro with Pete Ron and his team. And you put the heat on them last time.
You're going to get this time, even more.
And frankly, they should be ashamed of the answers they gave you. Because they did not level with you, and they didn't give you the answers that they should have given you. Because we have dotted every I and crossed every T on this project now. We have met with every member of that administration. We have gone to Hanover, and we have sat there patiently and made our case. I just have to tell you, I had a meeting with Pete Ron 2 years ago, and when I left the meeting, Pete said to me, Gary, you've made your case. I had a meeting with Jim Ports, the deputy secretary, the next year. I left the meeting, Gary, you've made your case. Now, it's time for accountability. It's time for our people who worked hard and put their hard-earned money into the till at the gas pump to get something back for their investment. And excuses just are not going to cut the mustard anymore. If we can push this one more inch, get into this book to do project planning and NEPA for this Southern Maryland Rapid Transit Project and complete that in the next 3 years, we'll be banging on the federal government's door and we'll be asking for money to start building this. And my prediction is if that happens, we'll be riding trains in the next decade. That will open up, as Ruben pointed out, that will open up all the doors to our economic development program. We will suddenly be players instead of stragglers, instead of supplicants. We'll suddenly be players on the board for some meaningful projects that will bring jobs to our people, jobs that are good paying, career jobs. We'll revitalize Waldorf. We'll create a vibrant urban community there on Old Washington Road. We'll take 28,000 cars off the highway. We'll improve air quality. We'll do all of these things. But to do that, we have got to get into project planning and NEPA. And we have to do whatever it takes to get there. So those of you who are motivated to, and your friends and neighbors, come out next Tuesday and give Deborah some support. When Pete Ron walks down that sidewalk like he did a year ago, we had some pretty tough citizens waiting for it. We really did. And we had a little toe-to-toe there on the sidewalk. It was wonderful to see that. But that's what it takes. Somebody said, if Paul Sarbanes said to me one day, he said, when they feel the heat, they'll see the light. And that's absolutely true. But my dire prediction, I'm telling you, I'm not wrong on this. My dire prediction is that we will be strangled and choked off from access to the national capital region, the biggest economy in the mid-Atlantic, and we will never be competitors for the real economic benefits, the real good jobs down here that our people deserve until we put in a fixed route light rail line.